Welcome to Bloom in Full Color, where we live life in high definition. Jennifer Moss, Adam Thompson. Today we are... Okay, so I'm just going to preface this because I have been called a disruptor more than once.
Oh, really? You don't
And
say.
I wear that as a badge of honor. Okay, so if anybody's been around me, I am not afraid to challenge anything and everything. And it's not out of spite. It is truly... There's a face print on that window, isn't it?
Yep.
Sick.
I see it now too.
Sorry.
Is there a mustache as well?
Maybe. That might be like a whole Santa thing going on.
Mustache that greasy.
Yeah.
Yes,
I am not afraid. Yeah, Zach is actually piping in from the side as some of our research arm. So we are down one man today for a little while, but we do have really fun podcasts coming at you. But what we are challenging today is the pagan roots of Easter, as well as some of the misnomers around Easter. Yes, it's a religious holiday based around Christianity in the United States.
We also want to talk about the equinox and how that's relevant to plants.
Correct. We're not really talking about
the royal we.
the Christian stuff. Okay. So if you are looking for a warm and fuzzy Easter Jesus
the Christian
podcast,
Easter wasn't warm and fuzzy either.
Well, that's not what we're covering. So
Sure.
I just want to qualify this is not the warm fuzzy anything. Okay.
No.
This is a little bit more the dark Valentines. What are the actual roots of things? Why the hell is everything eggs and bunnies? Where does Spring Equinox fit into this? And that's really where we're going to dig. So I want to preface that both Adam and I are not really religious people. And so I will qualify that when I say that. Yes and no.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
By United States traditional,
Sure.
I don't fit into that model. Okay,
Sure.
I don't fit into that mold. I think of worship as out in the garden in the sunlight and on the mountains and in the rivers. That's my gig. I don't fall into organized religion in any way, shape, or form, nor will I ever. So please stop knocking on my doors. Okay. That's
well played.
just me saying it out
We don't want any.
I don't. I make the joke that I would light on fire if I walked in. That is not the case. I live my life in a very ethical, moral way, but I'm not good at following rules.
That's okay.
And I'm okay with that. So I've accepted that about myself. So we're talking about Spring Equinox and the pagan roots of Easter and some of the mucky stuff.
It's not nearly as dark Valentine's, though.
No,
I
it is
promise.
not.
Oh my God.
But
A little lighthearted today.
Yeah.
I want to start out by saying
I want to know where this stupid Easter
the
egg
winter
is.
solstice is to Christmas as the spring equinox is to Easter.
Correct.
Those days, the Christian holidays, are meant to reiterate the old pagan holidays. And if you don't know what pagan means, it just means it's a big, broad word for any faith that wasn't Christian, actually.
And that originated before Christianity, too.
The Zoroastrians, the Celtics, the Druids,
The Scandinavians, the Vikings.
even Hindus, like the Buddhists. I mean, it was
generalized.
I grew up with the word secular. It's similar to that meaning. It just means non-Christian.
Well, and I'm
non-monotheistic, not one God.
And my definition of pagan is different. Mine would be orientated to Northern European because I am Northern European as my ancestral, right? So I'm Germanic colonies, English, and Scandinavian.
Gotcha.
So I'm when Christianity met paganism between the English and the Vikings.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's my association to pagan is more in the gods of nature.
Sure.
Yeah,
and that's what we all think about.
I do.
But,
so that's me.
And maybe I have to backtrack a little bit. I think it is meant to differentiate like one god religions versus multi-god religions.
I would agree.
And yeah. So that's why I was thinking kind of the Hinduist faith too. Anyway.
Well, and isn't Spring Equinox only in the Northern Hemisphere?
They have one in the Southern Hemisphere, but they are on different dates, which is strange. And I'm not an astrologist or whatever, astronomer. I don't understand some of this math. I printed out a lot of math, like see the diagram. Yeah, I mean, I don't understand this. And I have a degree in physical science. So anyway.
An entire 4-year degree in physical science, nonetheless.
Yeah. So the equinox, equa, right?
Yep.
It means that the day length
is the same
is
as the night
same
length, right?
as I think, yes, in the day and the nighttime.
So the
And
equinox,
so roughly, it's the same rule for both hemispheres. They're at their closest in matching day
to
length
12
and
hours
time.
of daylight to 12 hours of nighttime.
Yes,
'Kay.
essentially, it's the midpoint.
That is math.
But
We got that right.
the math is where it comes in, where like the southern hemisphere has an equinox that varies by a few days of ours, I believe, as I
could
recall,
see that
in
just
my
because of
quick
the rotation.
cram college style research that I did just 2 hours ago.
A lot better than me. You still got a lot
you
more
were
to
like
work.
a 15-minute. I would have not let you in my study group in college. Ever.
I am really good at presenting though, and so I would have been your little secret weapon to put in front of the professor.
Fair enough. And you probably would have been the public speaker that I would have elected. I actually like public speaking, but you're better at it.
That's something I do a lot.
Okay, we're just going to go every direction today, okay? Jen and I both have ADHD. We are elder millennials. We cannot keep track of anything.
Forehead from asshole. It's been hard lately.
Although I can call squirrel a little more often. But, okay, get this. All planets essentially have an equinox because of their tilt and their rotation around some kind of star.
I can get behind that science.
So Saturn has equinoxes that are 15 years apart, which I think Saturn's full orbit is like 30 years, as I recall. So that makes sense, about half the year.
Because they'd be so much further out from their sun, which is also our sun. So yeah. So if you get into Pluto, you're probably at like
exactly.
The 40,
so the further
mark,
out, yes. Yeah. Anyway,
and Pluto's still a planet.
Justice for Pluto.
Justice for Pluto. Is that a campaign?
Yes,
can we have signs in retail?
Yes, please. Okay, I was just at the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum a couple of weeks ago in January. Now, mind you, that when this releases might be a little off. But with that said, Pluto is recognized as a planet at the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum.
Okay, I agree with the Smithsonian family.
I agree too. So I don't know who screwed up modern education in the K through 12.
Some
BS.
angry geologist.
Or some angry white lady. I'm sorry. I'm picking on my entire...
Yeah, that's a white lady in 2 different podcasts.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm Karen. See, that's where the face things are coming from.
I like white women.
I do too. I
that was
a
one. Jump scare.
I'm not picking on any of you guys.
I'm
thinking of some Karen somewhere has decided that Pluto... Actually, you know what? It was probably an older gentleman who just got mad because it didn't fit a dictionary book definition.
I'm
of what
seeing
a planet
some like
is.
older man who
had a little bit too much power in a textbook.
Yeah. I want to think it was like the result of like a divorce or something.
Oh, it could be. The divorce decree, I insist that Pluto is no longer okay. We got to figure out who disqualified Pluto and do
Pluto
a justice for
oh my God,
Pluto
I'm writing
campaign.
that on my podcast list.
We need to figure this out.
Pluto will be a subject of debate in a later podcast. You're
Global
welcome.
warming, GMOs,
squirrel,
Pluto,
squirrel. Okay,
this is
I have to say that. I have to share this.
I love podcast days.
I know, it's fun. The second one's good because that's when our caffeine kicks in.
Yeah,
if you couldn't
I
tell.
was yawning through the first one.
Okay, best notes of this entire research. Burning of the socks. I'm just going to read this. Okay.
Burning of the socks.
Not all festivals surrounding the equinox are ancient. Annapolis, I'm pretty sure Annapolis, Maryland, celebrates the burning of the socks every March equinox. In Chesapeake Bay, boaters traditionally only wear socks between winter and spring.
That's what I was
The burning of the
like,
socks signifies the warmer sockless spring season.
Do they have to be matching?
Sockless?
That's all I'm asking. Do they have to be matching
There's
socks?
no rules with matching socks, ever.
Not anymore.
They should be the same shape, roughly, I feel, for your own comfort, but never colors.
That might be a preference.
Yeah, I don't know. They have to come up the same
amount
Thank God I have matching socks today. They have to at least come up the same place on my ankle.
I'm a matching sock person, but
What's that?
I had whale socks on yesterday. They made me really happy.
Okay.
They're solid black today. It's
so are they a sandal community majority of the time then?
They're just hippie footers, I
Maryland?
think.
That's hippies.
Bunch of hobbits.
Maryland.
Maybe they have more traction without shoes on.
Hippies
I don't
and
know.
politicians.
Or your socks are just it's like gardening. Your socks are just getting wet all day. So it's just like wear sandals or something.
Right? Because it's kind of soggy, that part of the world.
Yeah, that's gross. Fungal diseases and stuff.
Just imagine the plant diseases and the bugs in a greenhouse on the East
I
Coast.
think about it often, and I
Yeah.
pity those people.
Yeah, so it's really fun when you're on a tour bus with them in like Texas or Florida, and they're like, "Oh, do you deal with X, Y, and Z?" And I'm like, "I don't even know what any of that was that you just mentioned because I deal with 3 bugs and like 2 funguses, and that's it."
Yeah, you and I would have a really good hair over there, though. By the way,
Oh,
Our
we would have
curls, like
awesome hair, just like
yeah,
yeah, it's all natural,
beautiful.
including the big white stripe through the front of my head.
I like your white stripe.
I do too. I just
Little
didn't think
rogue
I
over
would.
here.
Yeah, I was gonna say Rogue or Reed Richards.
Yeah,
kinda
I kind of
yeah.
feel like Storm a little
Yeah.
bit too. Like it's happening.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna kind of wait until it all grows out and I'm a lot more white, and then I'm gonna start doing like purple and blue and green and pink, like
Ooh.
crazy stripes.
Gonna be a premature old lady, huh?
Oh, bring it on!
Do it.
I think apparently you get more authority when you let your gray hair grow out too. They like.
Fair enough. Okay, well, I actually have a color opinion that's relevant to this topic.
Okay, let's go.
I hate pastel.
I
hate it.
agree.
I hate it. Who did it? Why did
it's
someone?
an Easter thing too. It's because it's the wishy-washy colors because like the water's wishy-washy or the weather's wishy-washy because it can't decide if it's spring or if it's summer. Like it's still cold, so like maybe the
It can't
colors are
decide if
wishy-washy.
It's a color or vomit. Like
yeah,
what is
basically.
happening?
Yeah, kind
I
of.
think okay. So the pagan roots of Easter are actually pretty cool, you know, because we've got like goddesses laying eggs via a hare. So there's that.
Hare.
That's pretty cool,
So
but like
the goddess is pretending
I
to be
think-
said hare who is laying said eggs.
I
Yet-
butchered that. She's not pretending to be it. She
I
brought
just,
it back
I
to
just
life.
want to point out as well
weird.
that rabbits don't lay eggs.
They do in Easter, and I figured it out. Because remember, I said it in Dark
Explain it.
Valentine's. I was
Explain
like,
it.
I don't know how the hell this happened.
Yeah, how does that happen?
First of all, I think I judge Easter just because of the color scheme.
Yeah,
I
no,
think
it's
this
an
kind of stuff
awful-
is pretty cool.
Awful color scheme.
So-
Now, if you're going to put pastels of bold colors, it doesn't work. If you're going to put pastels, just put pastels together.
Mhm.
Agreed. But
And
It
I
cheap
bet you
has-
there's some kind of
it
trick.
has a place.
Like you could put a pastel with like a slate gray or something. I bet you there's some
Or
design
black.
trick. Yeah, where
Or
it
black.
works. But
do you
the
remember
rainbow,
when
no.
yellow was the Pantone color of the year, 2-3 years ago?
I didn't even know what Pantone was until I started working here, and everyone asked me what the.
Oh, yeah, it's
I thought it was
Peach.
Pantene Pro V.
oh, that's
As an elder
shampoo.
millennial,
That's
yes,
shampoo.
that's immediately
That's
what I thought
shampoo.
of. I was like,
Pantone, color of the year. Pantone is a paint brand, maybe. I might know what I'm talking about.
they're a color
But-
company.
They're a color company. Okay.
Yeah, I had to
Bitch-
learn.
Bitch greenhouses are color companies. Okay. So I've just
Yes,
covered it, but
agreed.
they're a year round, no matter what color company, because paint is corrosive. And things, not corrosive's the wrong word, but anyways, they're permanent. That's the way I need to look at it. So Pantone picks a color every year that affects everything you do for the next foreseeable 2 years because people take time to transition out. So I think for the 2024 Pantone color of the year,
I don't know what they call it, but it's a peach color.
it's a peach apricot color.
It's like
I
a
don't know.
light
I'll look
peach.
it up.
I think
I'll
they
look it
call
up.
it like fuzzy wuzzy peach or
Pantone.
something.
They actually
silly.
release a rodent and it runs onto a bunch of
It's
squares.
called peach fuzz. Peach
It
fuzz.
picks.
Peach
It's
fuzz.
similar to Groundhog's
Yeah.
Day, how they pick this. It's
So,
peach fuzz.
Peach fuzz.
I wanted to say that, but it sounded inappropriate.
It does sound inappropriate, but that is the technical.
That is how we condescend teenagers. That's not.
Sarcasm is thick today on
Sass
podcast.
is out.
Sass
Color of the year is
sarcasm,
hormonal teenage.
All right.
It's a thing. So
Okay.
okay, so
So pagan
Colors.
roots.
yeah, it
Or
was
wait,
like
you
so.
have more to say
No,
about color.
I want to know how a hare or a bunny lays an egg.
Okay.
I want to know where the hell that comes from.
So Easter, we were looking at this word, trying to figure out if we needed to pronounce it right. We don't. Easter comes from a German word called Ostern, which is derived from Auster or Ostara, the Anglo-Saxon your people, goddess of spring.
Yeah,
Also my people.
Yeah, I
I'm a
was like,
UK mutt.
Yeah, you're UK
same.
mutt too.
But
We're
none of
both
that- I don't
Northern
think-
European butts.
Yeah, that's fine.
But so yeah, Oster was the goddess of spring, and so that's kind of the origin of the word, right?
Yes. So one of the tales about her, you know, because with these mythologies, there's just infinite things.
They're all connected. They're all connected.
There's a story of how a bunny rabbit king or a Hare King fell in love with her and then passed. Oh, wait, no. Okay, it's even weirder. Shit.
Let's hear it.
I'm just gonna read it because I can't.
My brain
I
went
can't
just totally a
translate
different
this
way
'cause-
with man and hair
Okay.
and fast and
I know,
too
and
fast
peach fuzz, and you can just
Hairy
have to
eggs.
wonder
I
what
just-
in the hell are they talking about?
I read some dirty
Okay.
nonsense, so that my brain went a different way.
A Hare King, king of hair,
Okay.
which is me when I'm not wearing a hat, by the way.
Or
Fell in
Bowie.
love with Ostara,
Okay.
and she found happenstance a dying bird in the snow. In order to save it, she brought it back to life as a hare to honor the Hare King or something.
And it didn't lose its egg
To
laying
honor the
ways.
bird's original form, Ostara gave the hare the power to lay eggs once a year.
So
So a
resurrection.
bird
and-
died. She's like me, sees a dying creature, is like, oh, let me rehab it, and ruin my life by rehabbing an animal. And but she doesn't have the power to bring it back as a bird. Sorry, that's a real squirrel story.
I'm having a flashback to when you and I shared a house and you planted every square inch around the house
With the dumpster plants.
Yeah, with the dumpster plants.
Yeah.
And we had a very colorful house.
It worked out.
Sorry.
You just gotta give him a chance.
That's
Anyway.
exactly what the argument was. And I was like, I'll just get out of the way.
Yeah. So for some reason, her magic wasn't good enough. She had hocus pocus magic or
Okay.
something. So
Oh,
she
I
brought
got
the
you.
bird back as a hare.
Yeah.
But to honor it, she let it still keep its power to lay eggs.
Okay.
That's
that
how
tr-
that happened.
That translates for Hallmark very well.
Well, they were probably confused. But anyway, that is she then allowed the hare, which used to be a bird that lays bird eggs, to gift away its eggs to those worshiping and feasting in her honor.
Okay. So it's bringing new
So
life.
that is why we have Easter eggs, but also bunny rabbits together.
Okay. So both Spring Equinox and Easter, I got to make the connection, right?
Yep.
Are about new life and the turning of the seasons, right? So everything's coming out
yeah.
of dormancy. It's coming out of winter. It's coming out of.
And most mammals, I think, are producing offspring this time of year too. I don't know if you've seen any of the calves and.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's calving season.
Bunnies.
Having raised
no.
a squirrel, that's when squirrels are hatching. That's when bears are coming out of hibernation.
You're also going to see puppies.
when ducks,
You're going to
geese,
see, yeah.
I mean,
all
all
of
of it.
this.
Everything is. This is go time because you have the whole summer, the warm season to raise your offspring. So it's all. It's
There's only a couple of animals that go off of that. So I know that when I used to have husky litters, right? And Malamute litters are winter puppies. They're not spring or summer puppies or fall. So they're actually winter because that's more their season and the animal's more in its element at
needs to
that
act-
time.
Yeah. To
And now,
push it
if
to
you were
acclimate.
in Alaska, maybe, or in a colder region, a much colder region, like an Arctic region where they're originally rooted from, if you will, they're not transplants in lower 48, if you will, they might be on a different cycle, but it comes back to that cycle of life, that circadian rhythm, like the amount of daylight, like it all translates. Everything's connected. So I know that I get some shit in my family for all my voodoo moon stuff, and I get it here at work as well when Tammy says,
I
"What?"
openly talk shit about you about
fair.
it. But I
Legit,
love you,
legit.
and
But
I'm just a little more secret about all the things that you wear on your sleeve. So
yeah, I'm
it's fun
disruption.
to
Pick
that's
on me.
my stirring the bucket is tell people kind of a lie and have secretly hold the same values as you. But anyway,
So when it comes
Love
to
you.
things like the moon controls all of the tides of the ocean of the planet.
and to think that it doesn't affect the water in your body, which you're 70 to 90% of, is kind of
Can I?
see.
Yeah, exactly. So what I believe in this is there's no matter what, so moss greenhouse, our job literally is to manipulate nature. That's what we're doing. We're
That is-
hijacking science.
That's what the job description said.
Exactly. Manipulate nature to do X, Y, and Z.
Must be okay with playing God.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is literally what we do on a
That's
daily
bullet
basis.
point number 2.
But yeah, that
What?
is in everything below
It does
that.
say God or higher power.
Must
Yeah, we
sympathize
have to
with
be
the old guy.
inclusive to all religions.
Must sympathize with the old guy from Jurassic Park.
And and occasionally act like Jeff Goldblum, just for entertainment purposes for Jennifer
Finds a
Moss
way.
alone.
Lovely.
So,
Yeah.
they
Scene.
literally, by definition, we manipulate nature. So every part of pagan ritual is based around nature for the most part. Almost every pagan god is based in nature.
Yeah.
Everything. So, like Easter lilies. I was reading why is white Easter lilies a thing? Well, white designates purity, which is directly correlated to resurrection in Jesus Christ. So there's Christianity's input to Easter. Fine, great, wonderful. Is there Easter color? Are there lilies of that varietal that come in different colors? We don't know because they only sell white ones. And I challenge that because carrots are not traditionally orange. Carrots were made orange by the House of Orange in European royalty history. Carrots come in every color. They come in white, they come in red, they come in purple, they come in yellow.
Yeah.
So
GMO talk.
That's also cross-pollination talk because GMOs were not back in the 1700s with the House of Orange.
They were selecting. They were
correct.
artificially
They were
selecting.
artificially selecting for that color range. So now we think carrots are orange. That's not the truth.
Yeah.
But maybe Easter lilies, it's a certain kind of lily. We call it Easter lilies because it's a United States thing and it's probably a European thing to a certain chain. I have to do some research. But that lily is only bred for the white. Isn't that interesting how you have had there, in the United States, the separation of church and state, that's its own conversation. We'll leave that on a politics podcast that we're never going to touch. But look at the logistics. Easter lilies sell because they designate something that is attributed to Easter. And so it's become an entire thing, just like red goes to Valentine's Day, but that actually has origins in blood. So it all correlates.
Yeah,
so to your pastel conversation, that was just nice marketing.
Or like a bad game of generational telephone.
Yeah. A real bad game.
It's actually cerulean blue. And they're like, no, it's sky blue. No, it's eggshell blue. Like
cerulean blue. Do you know what my favorite crayon in the Crayola, the big Crayola box was? Chlorine blue.
Chlorine blue.
That tracks because that's what I'm decorating my store with.
Chlorine blue. My favorite color of blue.
You mean like ultramarine? Like seafoamy, that spectrum?
Nope, brighter. Chlorine blue.
Chlorine blue. Huh.
We'll look it up
So
after
I think
this.
chlorine's yellow, technically.
But you're the scientist.
But maybe the opposite side of the spectrum. Hey, I'm curious.
Bad game of generational telephone.
I'm picturing a pool. So that
exactly
color of
that color,
ultramarine.
that color blue.
I would
so
call that
like
ultramarine.
I love chlorine blue. Zach's looking
So,
it up right
have
now.
you
He's trying to
ever-
figure out which color is chlorine blue right now.
Have you ever wondered why
There's
Easter
chlorine
is
blue.
never on the same day?
Doesn't
'Cause-
it have something to do with Lent?
No.
Okay, what is it? Because Lent's supposed to be 40 days. So does Lent move or does Easter move or Easter moves and
I
then
think
Lent is in
all moves.
correlations?
Fat Tuesday,
it all
it-
moves, right?
I think Fat Tuesday
Is the
and
celebration before Lent
are like back chosen after the Easter date's chosen. Anyway, maybe you can help me figure this out.
Legit.
This article, because that was my Google question. This article from somebody, I didn't print my little header. It says Easter occurs on the first Sunday after the Paschal full moon, which is the first full moon after the equinox.
Okay. So the full moon.
The first full moon after the equinox, the Sunday after that is when Easter hits.
Okay, so the full moon after the March equinox for 2024 is on the 19th of March. The full moon is on March 25th, so that following Sunday would be the 31st.
Yep. But then they kind of
That's
like
math.
backtrack and they actually say later on in this article that it's not actually that simple and it has like
Oh, why would
something
Americans
to
make things
do
simple?
with like
Why would that make any sense? And you know who has real estate on Easter, right? It's the Christian religion. Back to our regular scheduled
it's a fun
broadcasting.
season.
So for those of you who haven't been watching us for very long, our podcast studio sits in our sales conference room, which is in my great grandparents' old house. So generation 1, I'm generation 4. And our sales office is through a window. So we can see our entire sales team. And the kitchen is right here. So it is a pass through. And so it's chaos all the time.
Yeah.
So we get interrupted regularly.
It's a center
That's
for
where
community on the farm.
we are definitely community over here. There's
Yeah.
also another center for community if you ever hang over in the production office, just a lot of dirtier.
Yes.
Just
But ours
because they
has
deal with dirt.
food and a kitchen.
Ours does have food
We
in the
celebrate
kitchen. They
food
have a
here.
food. Yeah, so food is my love language. Ironically, I can eat, as PJ would say, nothing but air, but that's a different
You mean the days you
conversation.
forget to eat? That somebody's commenting.
Yesterday was hard.
Yeah.
Yesterday
I
was
didn't eat
real.
till like
I don't
6
know
p.m.
what
either.
planet was upset with what
Whoops.
asteroid or whatever, but yesterday was hard.
There was some vibes going on.
There was something
Well,
going on in the planet.
Not to get too weird, but like we did just enter the year of the dragon.
And we just went into
So it's
Pisces
a lunar
season.
new year. We're like 9 days into the
Yep.
lunar new year yesterday.
Well, and we just went from an air sign into a water sign from an
Oh.
astrology standpoint. And Pluto
Is that
and
Pisces then?
yeah, we went from Aquarius to Pisces.
Okay.
Aquarius is air,
The 20th.
Pisces
Yeah, you're
is
right. Okay.
is water. And then it's also the last sign in the traditional zodiac.
Mhm.
So all of the signs kind of converge in Pisces, and that's why it's kind of turbulent for those who are not, how do I say this? And I'm not an astrologer in any way, shape, or form. I'm a hobbyist. That's it. And I'm one of those weird girls, and that's okay. With the 12, I'm a Pisces, so I kind of understand this. Pisces is my sun sign, so we are a mutable sign. So what that means is we're good at closures and transitions into the next thing. Whereas a fixed sign is there's fixed and cardinal. Cardinal means starting, fixed means in the middle, mutable means closing, right? Or
Okay.
finishing, right? So Pisces is a mutable sign, so you're closing cycles. But 2 planets just went into an extended period of Aquarius. And so being in an air sign for 2 of those planets, I think it's Saturn and Pluto just went into there. Things are shifting a lot. This
I don't
is
know
a whole
any of
nother
that,
podcast.
but I
We're gonna
can
stop
feel
there.
it. Whatever
can
the hell
feel
it was, to you described yesterday as living in the peripheral of a tornado. And
kinda
I
felt
talked
like
to
that.
that to everyone. I was just like, yeah, whatever tornado's going on, like I'm just
It's just right in the middle
dancing
today.
around it, doing my things.
Everybody kind of felt it yesterday. It was just
There
kinda
was
like
some odd
wonk.
tension.
There's some wonkiness,
Not,
but it wasn't
not
just
any
like
interpersonal
it
anything.
wasn't
It was
work
just
either. It was everywhere.
It was just life, emotional
Yeah,
weirdness.
There was
Anyway.
just a wave of energy, but that matters. And so an equinox, speaking to planets, because this does all correlate, an equinox and the sun is bigger planet than anything, right? So it controls everything to a certain degree.
But it's also a tiny little star.
It's a tiny little star,
baby star.
and then you have a tiny little moon controlling all this, and where they sit and what they're blocking and where the sun is shining all matters. I know that sounds really funky, but like
Hippie.
full moon, yes, totally hippie. My hippie is showing. I need my
It's okay.
dreadlocks.
I like that you're letting it out. You should.
Yeah. So, well, okay. So full moon is because the sun is shining on the moon fully. It's really exposure
Oh my
of the
God.
sun.
That
Did
is
you-
just a smack my head moment. I can't even.
Is this the watermelon radish moment for you?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I
a
think
full
that
moon.
brings our score to even. By the way,
Okay, we're even now for the last
Yeah,
podcast.
I was 7 points up, but I think
I think I just
Yeah,
did it.
yeah,
I
okay.
might have lost some points with the watermelon radish
shines on
moment.
the moon fully my
Yeah,
ass.
Then literally the moon is the same size no matter what time of the month
Yes.
it is. But there's the placating to every female in the room that no matter where you are, if you're not whole, that doesn't make you not whole. That just means the sun's not just shining on your whole person. So give yourself some grace for those really, really hard days like yesterday. So we're going into a full moon cycle, and what do you do during a full moon is you release, you let things go, you complete things. Whereas a new moon, you start things, right? Because the full moon is when the sun is now going to quit shining on the moon and work towards the moon being in a state of darkness. So it's all about cycles.
You explained that really well. Thank you.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
I don't understand Easter with this shit, but I understand.
Because I've always tried to I'm always because I'm dangerous. Like I know enough to be dangerous, as they say. But I've always known that full moon is chaos. I've had friends work in psychology that say people literally do lose their shit.
Track police station calls and the ER calls on the full moon. It is statistically higher at that time, no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Okay. I challenge. That's our homework Fact check that.
Fact check me.
Fact
Go
check.
ahead.
Okay,
Fact check me. Talk
we
to
gotta
any
wrap
police
this up
officer.
because I've got
You-
hankering staff. I get
you,
to hire
you
my
have,
staff.
you have
They're
things
ready
to do.
to work. But I do want to say the equinox is important in paganism because this is planting time.
It's
This
also
is sowing
important for
time.
you as a gardener because that means it's time to start thinking about it if you haven't already been dreaming about it for a couple weeks.
I think this is the time you start acting.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which I mean,
If
it's
you're a
almost
true
April.
gardener,
Yeah.
you're already in it. You're
Yeah.
already looking at seed catalogs. You've already been planning out how many plants you're going to do. You figured out your crop rotations. You've at least thought about what colors you're going to do, or you're.
Not pastels.
If you love pastels, we're
Sorry.
not going to be pastel haters. We have plenty of pastel flowers.
I use pastel flowers all the time, but
I
that's
can't
the place.
stand them myself. It's okay.
But how can you cannot avoid pastel flowers, Jen?
You cannot.
I know you have had pastels. You
I
can't,
have.
You are
I,
not.
no, I have totally had
I've
pastels.
seen your designs. They're beautiful, but there are pastels. in
There's
there.
definitely pastels. They're an
Yeah.
accent. They're usually not my focal color.
Yeah.
I did one year try red, orange, yellow, and white, and it was stunning. It's beautiful. I freaking hated it. I hated it.
Why?
It is not my color range.
Oh, that's a tough combo. I can. Yeah.
No, like I get it. I mean, a lot of people are warm colors. I am just not.
I'm not a warm colors.
I'm like a blue, pink, purple, yellow,
sure the hardest to find in plants.
which
Except
I'm
pinks,
really,
yes, but-
really good at finding because I have this whole menu available to me.
Yeah, lucky.
I can play a lot. You'll also see in our selection, I'm very strong on blues and purples, but red and purple like fight for the most popular color all the time. And I'm talking like true purple, which is called blue in gardening.
Yeah.
One of these days
Yeah.
we'll have a color podcast. You might need to write that down as to what is blue, is not blue, which is purple, which is
Yes.
not periwinkle.
And we also want to use that
And-
as an opportunity to talk crap about people like Pantone who name colors. 'Cause that's just a
Also,
joke.
Press
Color
it to any
podcast.
bride ever who is trying to match an actual plant to an actual color swatch. Just divorce that idea right now and say, these are my colors. Do something that complements them and have them come up with concepts because your flowers don't have to match it exactly. That's the beauty of a wedding. And I also would challenge any bride. Do you actually remember any flower that's been at any wedding you've ever been to ever? Because I thought when I planned mine, I'd been a bridesmaid 12 times. I could not remember one decoration on a table, one wrap on a stupid chair, what flower was in the center vase. I remember what hideous dress I had to wear.
Your
that's
grandma
about
is going
it.
to be pissed.
No, my grandma did a wonderful job and she did a beautiful job and she was the one in charge. And thank God for that because she did not like my idea and she did a much better job than I did. And that is why I tasked her with it because she had a vision. She is the guy. But I also couldn't remember what I'd eaten at any wedding. And that's why we had a taco bar and a cookie table. So it's not that important. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Easter
right.
also doesn't have to be perfect and celebrate Easter the way you want.
Eggs or no?
Eggs or no? I'd like a good deviled egg, but now I'm allergic to the damn thing. So that's a different conversation.
Deviled eggs are not for me.
I love deviled eggs, but I only like the filling. So if I just gutted all the eggs and just made the filling and then made it into a sandwich, I would be so happy.
You didn't need to load it back into the egg.
No, I don't
afterwards
care
to
about
be
that. I
satisfied?
actually make so much and I put such chunky pickles. I will
Ooh.
actually have so much left over. I can make my own egg sandwich with just the middle.
Ooh,
Just
heavy
the devil.
relish on it.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Okay, we need to eat. I need to eat.
Yeah, we need to
We
eat
need to do our
lunch.
send off. I gotta go find Gavin
Okay.
because I now realize he was early, not late. Because that's my day.
Homework, fact check
The influx of
of
Weirdness on the
ER
full moon.
and police calls on a full moon.
emergencies. Yeah.
Yes. Big scary things happen at that time and there's all sorts of things. But also we challenge you to try something at Easter that you wouldn't normally do. It doesn't have to be dinner with a ham
Eat a
or
raw egg.
no. Just no.
Some people
I-
mix a raw egg into a
Okay,
cocktail.
Schwarzenegger. Like, that's your gig.
Yeah.
I have no interest in eating
That
a
is in a
raw-
lot of movies. I wonder, like the
It's a
whole
thing. It's like a whole workout.
Crack eggs
It's,
in a blender.
yeah, it's a whole thing. It's
What else do they put? Any?
I don't know. It's just
Later
like eating a
discussion.
raw egg is like drinking a jellyfish to me. It's like
Yeah.
it's there's a bad joke in there that is super inappropriate for a podcast. I'm going to leave it alone.
We love to just skirt those here.
I do like to skirt those.
Because you can basically fill in the rest.
Well, if you knew what I read, it would explain a lot. So
Also, don't
Do our send off. I gotta go.
Last thing, don't buy a rabbit for Easter.
Don't buy a rabbit
Oh
unless
my God.
You're an awful
unless
person
you're
if
gonna
you
do FFA and make your child show a bunny, which I used to do. I used to have bunnies. I know all about bunnies. Like
They
I
take a
dig
lot.
bunnies.
Or meat rabbits. I mean, that's cool too. Like rabbit's pretty good.
It is, but like we shouldn't talk about eating bunnies on an Easter. Well, we did start with
Considering
it.
Dark Valentines,
Okay,
that's where you're
all,
like.
all I'm saying is
splitting
one of my
it.
favorite meals at a restaurant is duck. So there could
I
be a
love
whole.
duck
I
as well.
love duck.
Yeah,
it's one
same
of my
size,
favorite.
little body too.
Yeah, and it's
It's a
so
rabbit. It's
delicious.
good. Something
So-
about that size of critter is just really
Try
good.
something different. I'm not suggesting with your littles there at the table while you're celebrating whatever version of Easter you're doing to serve rabbit, but do something different. But have fun with it. And I would also recommend go seasonal with your produce because it'll taste better.
Yeah.
So right now we're going from citrus into lettuce / brassica / root crop season. So there's a lot of fun stuff that's coming out. So play with it. You can do different stuff. And if you go pagan, have fun.
We're closed on Easter. Thank you.
And with that, we invite you to go live life in full color because plain is pretty boring. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with your friends. We're on all streaming platforms as well as we have our own YouTube channel. And we look forward to seeing you in the greenhouse this spring. Thank you.